Everyone, and if anyone has a question, be happy to try and answer.
Um, I have a question, sort of. A theme today, which came up in my morning meditation, was responsibility, and that I have to like stretch more and take more responsibility, and I felt it open me up. So I don't know. That's my theme for today. Maybe you can speak about responsibility. I know you have, but
What's the question?
well, I don't know. It's
Listen, okay,
very important. It seems
look,
to be very important.
let me explain how important responsibility is.
Yeah.
First, to yourself, to your inner life, to the commitment you make to an inner life, to getting stronger inside. Secondly, to your family, friends, job, the commitment you've made to work, responsibility to your landlord, paying the rent, buying food when you go to the store, being responsible, to yourself and to the commitment you've made to living that way. I mean, I've had so many, this meditation, for instance, it's a commitment I made to it, years ago, 30, 40 years ago. And I've been absolutely responsible to it, doing it, teaching it, working my butt off to be able to get to a place inside myself where I can truly allow the higher energy to nurture people, to nurture myself. But the commitment and the responsibility of doing it and being committed to it, no matter what takes place in your life. And in everybody's life, there are always going to be tests, things that come along that are going to try to derail you, keep you from being responsible, things you don't like, you're angry about, mostly that other people do. All of these things are just a test of whether or not you can sustain responsibility to your spiritual life, to your family, to your friends, to the people you love, to the job you do. And being responsible is not just doing the job, but doing it to the ultimate of what you are as a human being, to bring the best of you to your work. Not going to work and bitching and complaining that, oh, I don't want to be here, I don't like it, you know, uh, this is being responsible. And this really entails growth because living that way will open you to receive higher energy. And it'll really make it possible for you to grow inside yourself. Doing spiritual work is the ultimate rebellion against, this normalcy that people call life. And we all want to rebel a little bit. Well, you do your inner work and you will be a rebel, but you'll be a conscious rebel. You're not going to hurt anybody in your rebellion. You're going to respect the way other people live. But inside yourself, there's going to be this thing that says, I have to commit myself to truly opening and connecting with higher energy in the universe and not accept the norms of what people call life as the way I have to live. All of this comes from responsibility, never putting anyone else down, never being better than anyone else, but just being responsible to your own inner life and allowing the higher energy to create that life, and then recognizing what your responsibility is to it. To me, it's just clear. Look, just a simple thing. A little over a year ago, I made a commitment to my daughter, and I never in a million years ever thought I would like to live in Connecticut here in the United States. And here I am living, and I made the commitment, and I've been completely and totally responsible to it, giving her a foundation to build her life. And the results have been staggering, staggering. I'm talking staggering of what has taken place. But it came through responsibility, through making a commitment and sticking to it, and really, doing whatever I could to support a situation. So I'm telling you that this works. It works. And sometimes, we want to run away. We don't like it. Crazy things happen. Crazy things always happen. Nonsense always takes place in people's lives. Tests always take place in people's lives. But they're not a reason to shed your responsibility. In fact, they're a reason to become more responsible to your inner work. Because it's the only way you get through. Please, Smadar, can you please stop moving? It really disrupts the class, Try to sit still. It's another 5 or 10 minutes. You can sit still. Anyway, that is, to me, a very important way to live. And it denies us nothing, and it brings so much in return in terms of our growth, our connection with God, our spiritual lives, or just being happy people, not getting swept away in all the crap that goes on in the world, with all the politicians and the economics and the pressures and the money and and just being responsible to taking care of whatever we have to take care of in our lives. Does anyone else have a question?
Stuart?
Yes?
In some period, I lost my energy to do things. I couldn't do things, to have responsibilities.
So
Flora, and now it's better, but it's not good when it's economic. When I have to go to a bank and to look my economic and do things, I can breathe. I try. It takes 2 days maybe. I can go in and do things.
Wait. Look, with you, it's always the same answer. It's the same answer. But you just have to get stronger inside. That's what all that is telling you. You need to build a system that doesn't allow these things to happen. And
but when But do you have something to teach me when I sit? I don't know.
Have patience with me, okay? Your growth has been extraordinary since you started this class. The rest of it will come. You're never going to be perfect. So every time some little imperfection happens in your life, don't tear yourself apart, okay? There's always going to be something that happens, and none of us are perfect. So stop, like, oh, I had a bad class. Oh my God, I had a weak moment. So what?
But with economy, it's no long time. I asked for help a bit.
All right. My teacher told me, buy that building. I'll never forget that. I was talking about that last night, but somebody asked a similar question. And, I was living there, and I was working 18 hours a day, building ashrams all over Texas. And it was all for him. I didn't need any of that stuff personally in my life. But I said, okay, I will do this for you. I will build ashrams. I will have prison programs I used to have. I had hospital programs and university things. And he came to Texas and told me I wasn't working hard enough. So I started to laugh. What should I do? Buy that building. I've told you this story a lot, but it really was an important lesson for me. And I always was very, not frightened of money, but I was, I was kind of frightened of economics and money and success, not knowing how to do those things. And when he told me to do that, I said to him, Rudy, I have $600 in there. He said, anyone could do with money. A month later, I bought the building. And you know what that taught me? How to overcome my fear of economics, my fear of success, my fear of money, how to do these things in the world. And it was a building, and I needed a shopping center like a hole in the head, you know? But it became a building that represented so much pressure in my life that I had to go to God to get the energy. And I learned how to transcend the pressure and use it as a way of building my inner life. It was one of the most extraordinary things that happened to me up until that point. And it came from a building, which I never in my million years ever dreamed of buying, you know? In fact, I didn't even know it was for sale. And he did this, and he knew I needed this for my growth. Well, all the economic pressures you feel, all these things, you know, they're not unhealthy. They're telling you, you got to grow. You got to get the energy of God, spirit to flow through your system so that you can get stronger, so you can transform this monster in something this big, you know? And eventually that building became something this big, became completely manageable. Whereas in a million years, I never thought, how could I do this? And then that transferred into my art business, into just about everything I've done, even this Zoom thing, you know, getting the strength from a higher energy to transform the pressures of life into something that's manageable. And you grow inside yourself. You have a kind of fearlessness in you. So you're not afraid of doing things. And the whole fear of money is not a fear anymore. It's like, it becomes, okay, it's a tool I can use to grow, to benefit other people, to. Anyway, look, you're growing very well, dear. Just, you don't have to be perfect, okay? Just remember that. There's always going to be something that's going to bother you. The something that bothers you is not unhealthy. It's telling you that you have to grow. It's part of that soup. It's part of that bouillabaisse that makes up, which is life. We need things wrong with us. We need things that bother us because they really make us work on ourselves. But there's no sense complaining about it. You just do the inner work and you get stronger. And then you can take care of these things. I mean, I've been doing this all my life. I'm kidding you. I mean, things that were completely outrageous and so far outside of my, thinking and what I thought I was even capable of doing, I used to do. And every one of those things made me stronger. And they certainly made me work so deep in myself because I knew the only place I could get the energy to do those kind of things was from God, from a higher place. Either with that or I manipulate life and use my ego to make everybody crazy, which I did not ever want to do. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
How are you? Oh, sorry. How are you connected to Ramana Maharshi? Is that his name? It's a.
Ramana Maharshi, yeah. I'll tell you, I was going through a very difficult period of my life, really difficult. And this is about 20 years ago. And I was at a student's house giving a retreat one weekend in San Francisco. And he had a picture of Ramana Maharshi. I looked at the picture and suddenly something changed in me. I said, my God, the energy, just that glorious twinkle in his eye, that love coming out of him, that simplicity coming out of me. It affected me very deeply. So on one of my trips to India, I went to Tiruvannamalai in South India, where his ashram is. I mean, he died a long time ago, but there's still an ashram there. And I'll never forget walking into that place. I mean, it was like a fashion show for European people dressed in Hindu garb. It was really unbelievable. And everybody was dressed like, sadhus, all these, European people walking around fashionably dressed in saris and, the women. And I said, I didn't come here for this. I don't need this. I live in New York. I see enough of this every day of my life, So I said, okay, I walked to the other side of the ashram and there was a fence. And I opened the door and I walked
It's
through the
2 o'clock.
fence. And there was this mountain where Arunachala, I think it's called, where he used to live in a cave. And I walked up this mountain, this path. And there was another student, and one of my students was with me. And we came to a cave. There was a sign there that said Ramana Maharshi lived in this cave for, 10 years or 12 years. And I had a question to ask because I really wanted to give everything up. I wanted to go live in an ashram, monastery somewhere. I was just so sick and tired of all the bullshit that I had to deal with from people and from business and from everything, And I walked in the cave, I sat down, I started doing a deep meditation. And he was there, the whole cave filled up with light. He was there. And he said to me, your work is in the world. Your work is not in an ashram. I know you've come here to ask me that question, and I'm telling you, you have to go back to the world. And your temple is life. This is what Ramana Maharshi told me. Your temple is life. And you have to go back to the world and do whatever your karma is and your responsibility is there. I mean, I was just blown away. It changed me. Suddenly, all of that resistance, it just disappeared. And I went back into my life. And also, this is why this is going on here, partially because of Ramana Maharshi telling me that. So that's how I am connected to Ramana Maharshi. Please try and sit still. It's really not good to be moving. It disrupts the whole energy. So that's how I'm connected to Ramana Maharshi. And he's in my heart. He works for me every day. I connect with him in the meditations. I connect with him in my life. And I'll never forget, your temple is life. It's quite a sentence, huh? Your temple is life. Go back. You're not, you don't have to live in an ashram. You shouldn't live in an ashram. Not that I don't have to, you shouldn't live in an ashram, in a monastery. Your temple is life. So I stayed in that ashram for a night and left. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And he also told me, my teacher, I got the training from my guru. He talked about responsibility. I spent 6 years undergoing, this incredible inner work. It was painful, it was difficult, it was, to clean up my act inside so that eventually I could do the things I'm doing today. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I've had a very interesting life. I really mean it. Stuff I've been through and experiences I've had are quite unbelievable. Okay, well, God bless you all. Thank you. And we'll have a meditation on Sunday And I hope to see you all there. And, you know, just be responsible to your inner life. I promise you, it'll bring miracles. It's really what it brings. So God bless you all. Thank you. And hopefully I'll see everybody on Sunday.
God bless you too. Thank you.
Thank you.